Greetings and salutations. It is I, Johnny, and here we are on episode number 19 of the Who the Heaven Is I podcast, brought to you by, it's brought to you by the magic of the internet and podcasting. And, I guess this episode could be a behind the scenes of how I do it, why I do it. I don't know if this is the platform that I want to jump in too deep on tech. But so I'll start it off by saying this is recorded using the Spotify for Podcasters app. And then I upload to Spotify, and then it sends it out to all the other services. But if you listen on the Spotify, the magical thing is, whether in the app or on Spotify.com using the web viewer, there's actually a couple cool features. One, you see the question of the day. Two, there's a poll. 3, there's a little place you can click on and leave a voice message. So it's kind of cool. I like the evolution of tech. So, yeah, evolution of tech. How do we feel about the evolution of tech? Myself personally, I'm feeling a little taken back. I've worked in tech for well over 20 years. And it's gotten to a point now where it's moving so fast that people can't connect. I mean, I won't say all people can't. There's always the geeky, not even the geeky, like the early adopters, the people that thrive on tech. Geeky is the wrong word because a lot of them are really chicy. They got, everything all blinged out with the latest models of things. And that used to be me at one point, where I just had the newest and it was cool. But as time goes on, what I've come to understand and realize is that it changes so much that it's like you never get caught up with it. And so, like, you're always chasing after new models, but, like, what are we doing with those models? Are we having a photo shoot? But I don't get the desire to flip things so quickly, because other industries don't do that. But I really don't want to get into a whole techie conversation thing today, so I'll save that for maybe Tech Talk Tuesday or something. But this is Motivational Monday, motivational stuff. And I know I've referenced this young man before, but yesterday I had a great Sunday fun day, and I got a chance to connect with Dr. Sattler. And we're talking about trees. It's really interesting, the amount of knowledge that this man has. And I think everyone has knowledge in their head. Whatever people do, there's something that's stored up in their brain. And, some people go out and seek knowledge beyond what they do. But we were just talking about trees. Specifically, he was telling me how they communicate. Because, there's something definitely magical when you go into a forest or you're just hanging around trees. And it's more than just the CO2 they put out. But he was telling me how trees communicate, how there's like a mom in the forest, and that's really, really interesting. That's going to be my YouTube during my downtime today, is to see how trees communicate, because I was telling him, we got the subject of energy. I'm working out some science ideas in my head, and I was just explaining how I saw on Instagram there's a machine that they make now, like that you connect it to plants or trees, and it turns the tree's energy into music, which is mind blowing how it does that, but it's a thing. There's energy flowing through everything in this universe. And, as we're always looking for new fuels and new ways to live a cleaner, greener life, you know, I was like wondering, well, if there's energy in everything, what about trees? What if we figured out a way to not cut down trees and use them, but tap into the energy that's in the trees? But I guess everything at that point becomes like an energy steal, you know. So it's an interesting future we have ahead of us here. Some people are gung ho for the batteries and the electric cars. Some people are, hey, let's just keep it the old way we've been doing it with gasoline. And then there's, I'm sure people out there looking to do new things. I think that, though people get very passionate about which team they're on. But, at the end of the day, the beauty of America is being able to have freedom of choice. And some of that freedom of choice means you have to let people do stuff that you don't necessarily align with, which could be uncomfortable. But for myself personally, I've become comfortable being uncomfortable. More so as the years have gotten older, because you realize people are going to be themselves. And if you honor them as who they are, especially if they have different beliefs and values, it can be uncomfortable. But you can make it comfortable by, filtering it through that people are generally doing things that, are what they think is best for them and in their situation. So for that, I don't think people purposefully or maliciously go out there and start their agenda. I think circumstances could sometimes push people that way. But I think deep down inside that everyone is doing the best with what they got. And it's a Monday, So let's start off on the right foot, Johnny. And that's the way I look at it. I don't... I don't usually get the Monday blues. Some people are like, oh, the Mondays. Even Garfield kind of really put it out there. Now, I wonder if people really get the Monday blues, or they just like feeling part of the Monday club. So even though they're having a good day, they'll say it with their coworkers so that they can align with them and have a connection. Because I don't know. I guess people don't like the Mondays if you don't like your job. But then if you don't like your job, then where's the search for the new job? I had that conversation with my son yesterday. It was so scary because his whole plan for life was very hardworking, but it wasn't like he was planning on doing stuff that he liked. He was like, his end game, and I'll say this a lot, end game means what's your happy ever after? Where are you shooting for? What's your goal? And so that's the end game, And so his end game was to, make a lot of money, invest it, and then retire. And I'm like, but the journey is probably one of the most important things. And if you're just focusing on the money, I was trying to explain to him, what happens if you have a job and everything's going good, and then life is good, you're happy because everything's flowing. But then all of a sudden this inflation stuff happens like it did now, or you have car troubles and anything like that that's material or physical, you're locked into your happiness and joy being around stuff that's tangible, that's only stuff that you can acquire. And and I was trying to find out like what he enjoyed doing. So I think, at that age, I was listening to a lot of music, and I didn't know what I wanted. It was, besides, there was always, when I was younger, it seemed like such a pipe dream, like to be a musician, a professional musician, or a filmmaker, because back then it was really you had to have like a record deal to get out there to get anyone to hear your stuff, and like same thing for being a filmmaker. You had to have backing from a studio. But now, boys, girls, and creatures of the universe, it is fair game for anyone to go out there and just make a movie, or record an album. Now, it might not be sounding like Taylor Swift's album or, the latest Metallica album or whatever, but, um, you, getting something accomplished and, recording your stuff is very rewarding, and it's a step. And then the reality is, with today's technology, it actually it can sound pretty good on a base level. It might not have the same production value as some of the big names in the industry, whether it be even a film. Like you might be able to make a movie, and it might not look exactly like Hollywood, but you can get your story out there. And that's, to me, it comes down to what's your story, what's your message. And that's where, personally, I like to focus. I like to focus on the goal. I mean, the the Monday blues, I guess if you did have a 9 to 5 job and you had a Monday through Friday type thing, I guess for me, when I did have that stuff, it was just like, it's the beginning of the week, the opportunity, and, you knock this stuff out, and then you have your free time on the weekend to go and explore. And I like to explore. I think it's fun being an everyday tourist. There's a really cool spot here in the 10990 called the Baird's Tavern, and I went there last night, just to write. I find, like, especially when I'm in the back area and I'm by myself, you can really get just a sense of different peace, because there's no TVs in Baird's Tavern. A lot of times you go out to a place and there's TVs pumping, there's music pumping. It's like so much like random energy overstimulation that you can't get a clear thought. Not only did I get one clear thought, I did 5 of my tracks that I'm working on. When I say tracks, I'm putting together a curriculum for, knowledge experiences and different factions. Like, there's one that's going to be filmmaking, songwriting, got blacklight art, got a business track, a photography track. There are more tracks. I have the podcasting track. So, I got that done yesterday. And it was cool. I mean, yesterday was Cinco de Mayo. And that day, it's one of my favorite holidays. But it was also the day that I got married. And now as I go through this divorce, it's kind of extremely bittersweet. Because, we got 2 lovely boys out of the marriage. And even though it hasn't been the peachiest of marriages, as I reflect back on it, if I had the choice to do it again, knowing the way it turned out, I'd do it again. I mean, because those boys are good dudes, and, give them the opportunity to do things and be things. And that's why, coming back to my son Tyler, and his I mean, like I said, it was definitely a well thought out plan the way he was telling me, but it wasn't based around love. Like my son Logan, he wants to be a chef, and like he's like so excited about it, and every day he goes to his cooking class, and we'll send little Instagram cooking reels back and forth to each other or stuff like that. He's passionate about it. There's passion in it. I mean, I guess everyone's different, so I respect that. I just hope that my boys are using the filter of, are you finding joy in your life, or are you just doing things to get to somewhere just to survive? And in my opinion, if you're just surviving, waiting till retirement, then what kind of life is that? When then you're 65 and then you can enjoy life. And I think that young people, it's very essential that they think about the lifestyle they want to live, because there's opportunities now with different working mechanisms where you can work remotely and travel if you wanted to and go see friends, and maybe you want to go mountain climb, or maybe you just like fishing, who knows, or maybe you just like hanging out in the city and going to concerts and stuff, who knows. But I find that whatever you're planning should build around your lifestyle. Otherwise, you're just taking what's out there, and then it's kind of like, to me, like you only get one life, so it's like your avatar suit saying, "Hey, you get the one life, and you're just gonna go through the motion." And so, I'm doing my best to live that authentic life, and although I'm doing it a bit abstractly because of a lot of different reasons. But I'm not going to get into that now. But what I am going to get into is, the question of the day and the poll. And question of the day. Okay. Who do you look for when you need inspiration? That's the question of the day. Who do you, talk to? Or who do you go to when you need inspiration? And the poll of the day is, do you have a plan for your life? Okay, who do you go to for inspiration? Do you have a plan for your life? And this has been the Who the Heaven Is I podcast. You can always follow me on social at IJOHNNI through Spotify or the Spotify app. We have these poll questions and questions of the day. There's also voicemail you can leave. And you can always call the cool line. That's a number I've set just for people to leave voicemails or text, anything to talk about. And that is 650-383-7469. And it's part of Mental Health Awareness Month. Always know that if you or someone you love is going through a crisis, you can always call 988. And if you're in the 10990, check out warwickcares.org. In fact, I believe it's next Tuesday and Wednesday. There, someone that was at the Warwick Cares meeting is hosting a mental health, like a first aid training type thing. So that's cool. All right, thanks for listening to the Who the Heaven Is I podcast. I will see you all, or hear you all, sometime between now and later.